All right, I'm going to cut across right now immediately to the capital of Ukraine, Kyiv, where my colleague Gaurav Sawant has been reporting out of over the last fortnight, getting us the very latest from the heart of the war-torn region. Gaurav, over to you. Kyiv preparing for a big assault now.
Preeti, many thanks. We are right now on the road to Bucha, and this is where one of the main thrusts of the Russian army is expected from. Now take a look at the place where we are. This is where Kyiv is attempting to stop. The Ukrainian army is attempting to stop the advance of the Russian army. And look at the desperate measures. There is a train track. Goods trains have been parked in the middle of the road. This is a track that crosses this. Now, right now, vehicles can pass through this, but should the Russian advance be close, and there are red lines at every flag and red flags being put, the moment those red lines are breached, this track will be closed, and this track, incidentally, is also manned, which means where we are right now, these trains will be in the middle of the track. Right now, the vehicles can pass. Should a red line ahead,
Best you to put your mic closer to you. The wind is very strong clearly where you are and we can barely hear you.
Okay, Preeti, I'm trying to speak louder. I'm trying to speak louder because, yes, it is extremely windy. It was snowing very heavily in this area till a short while back. It was snowing very windy. Preeti, the attempt is to stall the advance of the Russian army towards Kyiv. Now, this goods train will block this path completely. Moments if that red line ahead outside Bucha is breached. These are very desperate times here on ground zero. There are pitched battles being fought. While there is ceasefire here in Kyiv, there is no ceasefire in Bucha, there is no ceasefire in Ostromel, there is no ceasefire in Irpin. Battles are being fought there. The Russians are now using not just heavy artillery in some of those areas and missiles, but till late last night, they were also using their state-of-the-art Su-34 fighter bombers. So they're using heavy bombs, heavy missiles to flatten the areas around Kyiv. And this is the access to Kyiv. We are on the access to Kyiv. The attempt is to stall the advance of the Russians. And these are some of the measures that are being adopted. A goods train to block the advance of the Russian armored columns. We are told, and there are listening posts all along. This is like, you know, you'd hear about this in World War II. You'd read about this when you read about the Second World War. But in a capital in the 21st century in Europe, you're seeing these kinds of battles being fought. Listening posts actually relaying back to their headquarters where the Russians are, how they are being stalled, what weapons are required. All of this is happening real time. We saw a convoy of military hardware moving towards Bucha, moving towards Irpin to stall the advance of the Russians, and the governor of this place is very confident. The weapons that have come have been sent to the front lines, and with those weapons on the front lines, they will be able to stall the advance of the Russian army, at least for some time. The Russians have in fact intensified their operations. The Chief of General Staff here, Preeti, the Chief of General Staff here said that the Russians are regrouping to mount that big attack.
Gaurav, that's the only question that I was asking you. Now, cities like Irpin, cities like Bucha, where you are right now, will become the focal point or the fulcrum on which rests the siege of Kyiv.
Oh, you're absolutely right. This is the last defense on the outskirts of Kyiv. God, if Bucha falls or if Irpin falls, then the Russian army would be in Kyiv, and then the efforts will be made to defend the Russian army inside Kyiv. And that is actually the last line of defense. And over the past fortnight, we've actually seen every line of defense. This was, of course, at the borders, but slowly it's been inching closer to Kyiv. The Russian army has been relentlessly pounding areas with heavy missiles, then with rockets, then with their Grad systems, then with their tanks, and then with their snipers and small arms. Preeti, what is worrying for the residents of Kyiv and for the government of Ukraine is the fact that now the information is Chechen fighters the Russian Spetsnaz, that's the commandos, and some of their very specialized units that have fought in Crimea, that have fought in Donetsk and Luhansk, and won battles there. Those specialist troops are now being rushed into this battlefield because now it's almost the preparations for that last stance. And for that last stance, there is going to be a multi-pronged attack. While there will be an attack that comes from outside, there are also these specialized forces that have come in, and those specialized forces that are already inside Kyiv will then attack the defenders from behind. So the forces here in Ukraine will be targeted from two flanks, one from the front and one from rear. And that is why right now every person inside Kyiv is being checked, again checked, rechecked, his antecedents verified, and in case there's any suspicious person, they are being locked up for verification subsequently. But any suspicious activity is being checked to ensure that there is no enemy within when that attack comes from outside.
Gaurav, the strategy clearly right now of Ukraine is to bolster these areas of defense, these cities of defense, and then keep closing in if they cede space.
Preeti, you're absolutely right. They're bolstering their outer defense first at Irpin, at Bucha, at Ostomel, at some of the other areas. But they're equally strengthening the second line of defense, which is inside Kiev, on the outskirts of Kiev. And then, of course, you keep moving closer and you keep defending the inner line. A lot of defense, from what we have been told, Preeti, they are moving from some other areas. Now it is, what can be defended, what must be defended, and what should be defended. So from should be defended to must be defended, their lines are moving inwards. So what is actually happening is some of the outer flanks may now be vulnerable because anti-aircraft systems, they're required, but there is a paucity of those anti-aircraft systems. They seem to be moving closer and closer towards Kyiv. That is the threat that this country is facing at this point of time. Preeti, the police are now here and they're telling us not to shoot at one of these vulnerable points because this is vital to the defense of Kyiv en route Bucha. I will hand it over back to you in the studio and we'll join you once again at the first available opportunity, Preeti.
We're going to come right back to you, Gaurav. Take care of yourself. Gaurav has been reporting inside war-torn Ukraine for the last fortnight. He and his camera person, Pavan, doing a commendable job. Our boots on ground, getting you the ground situation. We're going to cut across back to Gaurav once he finds a safe spot or an area where, he can beam live out of.